in Duluth for over 50 years, going back to such projects as the Holiday Inn block in downtown Duluth and the airline maintenance base up at Duluth International Airport. We opened our office here in 1999, and since then we've done other iconic Duluth projects like the Duluth Heritage Sports Center and Clyde Event Center adjacent to it. And of course, we also make giving back to our community a priority. An example of that is the Kraus-Anderson Bike Duluth Festival that we created 8 years ago, which in 2019, we had over 300 mountain bike racers at Spirit Mountain. And since its inception has raised over $200,000 that has supported such community organizations like the Gary New Duluth Alliance and their rec center, the YMCA, and of course, COGS and more trail development. So thank you for all of you for attending the inaugural Business and Community Alliance Series, and thanks to Rachel and Lindsey of Precision Pipeline for presenting on this important topic. Thanks, Bailey.
Thank you, Dan. I would like to introduce our speakers today, Rachel Johnson and Lindsey Matson. Rachel Johnson is the Manager of Public Relations, and Lindsey Matson is the Manager of Creative Services at Precision Pipeline. Thank you both for presenting for us today, and I'll turn it over to you.
Bailey. We're excited to be here. Like Bailey mentioned, we are with Precision Pipeline. I'm Lindsey Matson. LinkedIn is underneath my photo. Love to connect with you if you have any questions about the presentation as we move forward. And Rachel Johnson will introduce more on the topic.
Thanks, Lindsey, and thank you, Bailey and Dan, for your wonderful introduction. So Precision Pipeline, as a nationwide leader in the pipeline construction industry, we saw how the energy industry intersects with human trafficking through midstream transportation, construction projects, and material and fuel transportation from coast to coast. And based on this insight, we decided that we wanted to do something about it. And so our company integrated a 5-step program to train people within the organization to recognize the signs and know how to report the crime. And so today we're going to kind of talk to you about how we implemented that and how you can do the same in your organization. And as Lindsey mentioned, we're happy to visit with you one-on-one and elaborate on some of the points that we'll go over today.
Overview of Precision Pipeline. We're a union pipeline contractor that installs oil and gas pipelines across the country, including large diameter mainline construction and also smaller infrastructure pipeline projects. Our focus on safety, quality, and the environment ensures that our communities are positively impacted during construction and after the project is complete. And together with our 5 divisions, dewatering, engineering solutions, infrastructure, west, and pre-tech directional drilling, we can perform all aspects of pipeline construction.
It all started with our commitment to safety and community and wanting to be something, be a part of something bigger than our projects. And so we continually focus on the communities in which we live and operate. And when we learned how big of an issue human trafficking is in our local community and our project communities and nationwide for that matter, we knew that we could do something about it, and creating the awareness program was just that thing. So this collage is really fun. It represents all of our employees who participated in a 5K event that was held in the Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls area over the summer. And it really is a great representation of the community building that we do and how this really fits into that. So we found that partnering with both a local and a national awareness organization, that was how we were able to create our program and train our employees. So our program encourages everyone to call a national hotline. We're not trained to intervene with when red flags are spotted. And if it were to be a trafficking situation, we are not we don't have the training or the resources to help the victim, but we do know who to call. And then at that point, the professionals can step in and do the next part of the process. And there are a lot of local resources available that can be shared after this presentation. And we'll touch on the organizations that we worked with that helped us along in creating the program.
What is human trafficking? There is a lot of myths to dispel about human trafficking. First myth is that traffickers target victims they don't know, when in fact, many survivors have been trafficked by romantic partners, including spouses, and by family members, including parents. It's not like the movies. Sometimes when we think of human trafficking, we think of the movie Taken, and that's just not the case. That would be typically what human smuggling is, not human trafficking. Another myth is that white passenger vans or commercial vans with external locks are a sign of trafficking. And if you see these vehicles, you should be suspicious. In fact, traffickers drive all kinds of vehicles. There's no evidence that they favor white vans or that white vans are a key part in trafficking cases. Commercial vans typically don't have a lot of windows, and they can be used to store expensive equipment for businesses, which explains the locks and the bars over the windows to prevent theft. And white vans in general are not a sign that trafficking is occurring.
So what is human trafficking? Well, it's the use of force, fraud, and/or coercion to prey upon victims' vulnerabilities while profiting off their exploitation. Traffickers have done an amazing job of convincing us that she is just a prostitute and we should turn and look the other way. This is a highly effective business model, since while we are looking the other way, the traffickers and the buyers are taking advantage of America's women and children and making a lot of money while doing it. They've also convinced us that this problem is too big or too dark to do anything about it, but they're wrong. Traffickers count on ignorance and apathy, and that nobody cares enough to do anything about this problem. But we must know that we do care and we can do something about it. So just to touch on this slide a little bit, it really describes the sex trafficking versus labor trafficking, both using force, fraud, and coercion, but kind of, as Lindsey described in some of the myth busters, this is helpful for us to understand what the problem is and the distinctions. So in sex trafficking, the common types are escort services, pornography, illicit massage businesses, brothels, outdoor solicitation. Whereas in labor trafficking, it's still force, fraud, or coercion. But in this instance, labor trafficking happens in agriculture, domestic work, restaurants, cleaning services, carnivals, those types of situations. So let's take a look at the numbers, the impact of human trafficking. Moving from left to right on the slide, estimates show that there are up to 40 million victims of human trafficking worldwide. 50% of those victims are children, 80% women and girls. 70% of female victims are trafficked into commercial sex trade industry. The trafficking industry profits by 32 billion annually, and that's second only to drug trafficking. That was something that we found that was just really interesting. And then 12 to 14 is the average age of entry into sex trafficking. These numbers are really staggering, and it really surprised us both as we started to educate ourselves about what this issue is and then starting to build a program for our organization. So the top 5 vulnerabilities, let's take a look at those. Sex trafficking, substance abuse, use concern, runaways and homeless youth, recent migration or relocation, unstable housing, mental health concerns. Those are the top vulnerabilities. A lot of them are similar on the labor trafficking side, with the addition of criminal record or criminal history, and then physical health concern and substance abuse. So the key is that sex traffickers prey upon vulnerabilities like these, and these are easy ones for them to spot.
fact that traffickers hide in plain sight. Many survivors have been trafficked by romantic partners and family members or in online gaming groups and on social media. Recruitment can happen in public places such as malls or sporting events, but many survivors have been trafficked by people they trust, including spouses and parents. Trafficking also commonly begins in online gaming groups and on social media sites where the trafficker becomes trusted. Using these methods over time, the trafficker is no longer a stranger, but someone the victim actually knows and trusts. And especially now with COVID affecting schools and youth activities, there's an increase in children's online use. If anyone has kids at home, we can probably all agree how much more screen time they're getting right now than maybe they had previous years. Personally, my son is 11. He's at home with virtual schooling, and he has access to multiple devices, and online gaming is part of the way he connects with his friends and his peers, and that's how he interacts and socializes now. And if we hadn't had conversations about trafficking and those dangers on social media, he could easily become a target and start to trust someone that he speaks to during the day through those gaming devices. And this is just a really powerful statement to keep in mind that, you know, we said human trafficking is second only to the drug industry. But unlike the drug that is a one-time sale, people can be sold again and again. And so this is how the traffickers continue to prey on the victims and then also use the buyers.
So I think it was just really important to kind of start out the presentation by sharing with you what human trafficking is. And then next, we'll just talk to you a little bit about why the energy industry. And now I know there's a lot of different participants on the presentation today. So I would welcome you to think about how this could be applicable in your industry. If you're in something different than ours, I think there's a lot of parallels that can be taken, but we're just going to touch on a little bit more about the energy industry in our case. So this map that Lindsey will put up shows the human trafficking hotspots across the United States in 2019. Can you go back one, Lindsey? Thank you. The areas that had the most reports of human trafficking are highlighted in red on the map, and the energy industry intersects the human trafficking hotspots. So overlaying the most prolific oil and gas producing areas across the US and the lower 48, we see these intersections. And point of note here, the map source is the Polaris Project, and they operate a national human trafficking hotline that collects data nationwide. On the next slide, we'll just kind of walk you through a couple of key areas in the oil and gas space. So this shows the Marcellus Utica. The next one will show the Permian, Anadarko, Eagle Ford, Haynesville. Some of you may not be familiar with those, and that's okay, but and the following is the Niobrara. These hotspots are happening in oil and gas production areas. And so I wanted to just kind of provide that context.
Showing how the energy industry has become a target for traffickers. Traffickers are looking for these large group of males. They have a lot of purchasing power and they're isolated. That's kind of showing in that map. Those are where construction zones are happening. That's where a large group of male population is working. So we have this male dominated workforce. We have workers housed away from home, and they're away for long periods of time from their friends and family. That's kind of how this correlates what traffickers are looking for and how the energy industry has become this target. And because we have become a target, we are actually in a position to really help stop this crime. We have a workforce that spends considerable amount of time on the road, at truck stops, and in hotels. And once your workforce is trained to spot the red flags, we can all become a part of the solution. empowering our workforce to report it to local law enforcement via the National Human Trafficking Hotline. So using precision as an example, from our 2019 data, we had 640 drivers on the road. They drove 4.8 million miles that year in 660 fleet vehicles. These statistics, they're not for 1-ton vehicles, or they are for 1-ton vehicles and larger. They don't include other company pickup trucks, personal vehicles, vehicles that employees may be traveling from job site to job site. These are only vehicles that are precision company vehicles. And that's just our company statistics. So if you think about how many people your corporation or your organization has on the road daily to really become the eyes and ears and notice the red flags and then empower them to report this crime, I think we can all really make a difference.
So we partnered with a national organization. It's called Truckers Against Trafficking. Their logo's on the slide there. And, we're not all truckers, but we do, like Lindsey said, a lot of us do spend a lot of time on the road traveling to various parts of the country for our work. And so partnering with Truckers Against Trafficking seemed like a really nice fit. They promote training anyone to be the eyes and ears on the road and empower us to the national hotline to direct us to make a call to that national hotline and report any suspicious behavior. And Truckers Against Trafficking supported our program by providing training materials and direction to help us get off the ground. So Truckers Against Trafficking noticed that more than truckers were just participating in their programs, kind of like us. Organizations like Precision Pipeline, they've created some specific programming, and this initiative is one of those. It's called Empower Freedom, and it was specifically created for the energy industry. They also have programs tailored towards shipping, busing, and law enforcement. And I encourage all of you after the presentation to reach out, and we can help get you connected with our contact, Ashley Smith, at Truckers Against Trafficking to help tailor a program for your organization. So all of the materials that we used initially in our training program were provided for free from Truckers Against Trafficking, along with some hands-on support that we received from Ashley. So again, that was a really important piece for us to get started.
Give you an idea of what we used to start our program, the items from Truckers Against Trafficking, how we've grown the program, and then what you can do to build your own toolkit within your organization. So we have a 100% commitment to safety, and this is kind of where it started. We are 100% committed to safety, the communities we work in, and to being part of something bigger than the project. With added focus on improving the health and safety of our environment, our people, and overall well-being of the communities we work in, we truly make a difference during the construction of each project and beyond. So with this statement that we have internally, our human trafficking awareness program was just a natural fit and became part of our company culture. And our employees, they were passionate about it. They really wanted to participate and know that they could do something they can do. And being empowered to call that national hotline is something that we can all do.
So after a year of our initiative, you remember seeing the Truckers Against Trafficking logo that we used initially. After a year, we have branded our own program, and Lindsey designed this logo. Be an everyday hero. You are the eyes and ears of our nation's communities, and the victims forced into human trafficking rely on you to know the signs, make the calls, save lives, and that's the national 1-800 number. A lot of thought was put into the design of our program logo. It features an awareness ribbon in blue, which is the international color of human trafficking awareness. And it also has the national hotline number so that no matter where you are, your call will make a difference, because when you call that number, then it's dispatched to the local law enforcement connected with the area that you're reporting on.
Just wanted to point out on this slide that number is written specifically like that. That's how Truckers Against Trafficking and the National Hotline write it. It's very easy to remember when you do 888-3737-888. So there's a method to that and to how it's going to kind of stick with you to be a quick reference.
Really good point, Lindsay. Thanks for that. So now we're going to get in a little bit more into the nuts and bolts of our program, HTA, Human Trafficking Awareness. It starts with an introduction to key stakeholders and leadership, and then assigning a program champion. So in our organization, Lindsay and I really felt passionate about this. And in our company, we partnered up to be the champions on this initiative. So we've done a couple of these presentations together. But that's a really key piece is designating someone that can really take the lead and keep the momentum and keep it alive. Understanding the big picture helps with integration, while Truckers Against Trafficking really help with the educational materials. So introduce it to leadership, find your champion, integrate it. We found, and we'll get into this a little bit more, we found that a key piece of integration was not adding this onto or creating something new. It was integrating into existing systems that we already had to disseminate the information. And then with the program materials, as we mentioned, the Truckers Against Trafficking did support us with materials. And then after launch, making adjustments to make sure that it's streamlined and that you have a way to continue the education and keep it top of mind. So step one, introduction. So gain approval for the program from key stakeholders within your organization. Offer examples of how your company can be part of the solution. For us, once we were aware, we knew that we could make a difference while adding just a few small additions to existing training that we already had. And we quickly had the support of leadership to do this at the home office and in the field.
After the introduction, we highly recommend assigning champions to lead the program. Champions will be accountable for the steps along the way and ensure continued success by keeping your program relevant after the launch. We found that it's truly a team effort, but the champions will help lead the continuing education efforts so your program grows and maintains its relevancy. Step 3 was integration. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a really critical step, and we looked at our existing training processes and found ways that we could add it in seamlessly. So observe your existing training policies and see where it can be added with minimal disruption to your current procedures and your current workflow. So in our case, we have a safety orientation process, and we just found that we could add the human trafficking awareness training into that orientation process, and also unique to our organization and maybe similar to a lot of yours that are listening. We've got people in a couple of different areas. We've got a home office, so office employees that receive the training in one fashion, and then we have field level employees who could be out anywhere in the country, and we needed to figure out how do we provide that training in those different settings. Is deciding on the materials your program will use. I think it's important to note that you don't have to create your own program or materials. We've mentioned how helpful Truckers Against Trafficking was with launching our program, and we still continue to use a lot of their resources. Their powerful training video can easily be shown to employees. There's logins online you can use, and then they're also happy to send the video directly to you if you wanted to integrate it into existing training or add it to, say, an LMS system or however you deliver your training. We believe that watching the training video among the coworkers creates a common cause. So we chose to show it in a group setting, which now has changed a little bit with COVID, but a year ago it was definitely distributed as a group with the rest of our trainings. And it just empowers people to take action, and we're all in this together. We're all fighting this cause as a whole. Truckers Against Trafficking also provides free materials such as wallet cards with red flag reminders and a variety of posters that we've used in our program. And this is a screenshot of what the video would look like. The individual training is a 27-minute video, and if you choose to do a group setting, it's a 13-minute video. So either one, they're equally powerful and valuable in your training. And the wallet card, this is also provided by Truckers Against Trafficking. It has a lot of information in a very small bifold that can be tucked away into a wallet or glove box. You can see this is the size, and it has all of the red flags. It prompts the questions to ask if human trafficking is suspected, and if you were to have an opportunity to speak with a suspected victim of human trafficking. Questions such as, do you keep your own money? And if not, who does? Do your parents, siblings, or relatives know where you are? And if not, why? When was the last time you saw family? Are you physically or sexually abused? Are you or your family threatened? And how? And can you come and go as you please? So I think those are really key things to remember when we're kind of out and about and maybe see the red flags, which are also like the lack of knowledge of their whereabouts. They're not in control of their ID or passport, restricted or controlled communications, or they're not allowed to speak for themselves. Any mention of making a quota or having a pimp or a daddy, signs of branding or tattooing of a trafficker's name, often on their neck, a van, RV, or vehicle where multiple women in a mainly male area, dropping women off, picking them back up 15 to 20 minutes later, and then also signs of bruising. So this quick rundown of the information that you'd find in the wallet card, but also just kind of important to note in this presentation so we can all maybe be aware of that going forward too. And then Truckers Against Trafficking also has a variety of posters. They can fit your organization's program. Specifically, these are the Truckers Against Trafficking, but they have the Empower Freedom ones, the Busing on the Lookout, and law enforcement, and then their newest initiative with the shipping. They also have brochures and just a variety of items that you can request for free and distribute to either in your location or to your employees. We display a poster at every job site as a reminder of our program. They've just been wonderful about sending us all the materials we request at any time. So I really recommend finding a connection with Truckers Against Trafficking. Another material that we have chosen to do above and beyond what Truckers Against Trafficking has offered is our own banner. Initially, we used the elements from Truckers Against Trafficking to match the bifold card, the wallet card. But since the launch of our program, the banners have been updated to reflect our branded elements, and they still maintain the same messaging. Each banner is displayed at the exit entrance of all of our job sites as a reminder when our employees are leaving, they still need to keep their eyes and ears open and make that call if they see something suspicious. And then another item that we have added to our toolbox was a hard hat sticker. The employees receive this hard hat sticker after their training. Initially, we used the Truckers Against Trafficking logo and now have updated to our branded look. The hard hat sticker is very significant in our industry because our workforce does work for us maybe on one project and then maybe for someone else on a different project. And the one thing they take with them is their hard hat. So no matter where they go, who they're working for, or where in the country they are at, they're going to have that sticker with them as a reminder of their training, and then also with that national hotline phone number right on the side so they can be empowered to make that call at any time going forward.
You can see that there's a lot of tools in the toolkit that you can use But now let's talk about step 5, the launch. So there's a lot of preparation up until this moment, and now it's time to launch. And so a really key piece is to communicate the launch procedure or process to your key stakeholders, those who are responsible for providing the training. In our case, it's our safety manager who delivers the orientation to our workforce in the field and makes sure the materials are distributed to everyone. So walking through the process of how we would launch it to our employees. They watch the video that Lindsey mentioned. They get the wallet card and the hard hat sticker. They see the posters on the wall. They see the banner when they come and go from our job sites each day. So those are some key visual reminders for them to keep this top of mind and keep it relevant. And then after launch, reassess the process and adjust to streamline to meet your own needs. For instance, Lindsey created a material reorder process for replenishment to job sites when they start and finish. And as she mentioned, we'll be doing jobs in different parts of the country. And so it's important to have that coordination process on how to get the materials from a site that's been completed to our new job sites. So that was kind of a key thing that we learned, by, doing that is implemented and now is, a key piece of our program. And then continuing education. So inform current employees of the program and encourage them to participate. You could create a press release and media assets so you can share publicly and on your social media channels. And you can be a mentor for others considering a similar program. So we implement continuing education within Precision by highlighting our current trained number in our monthly newsletter, and we'll get to that shortly. We also highlight it on our website and our social media channels, and sharing the stories from Truckers Against Trafficking. We shared a story about a gal named Annika at one of our recent weekly all staff meetings, and that was really powerful. And then we promote the program through our participation in local fundraising events. One of them was the collage we showed you at the beginning of the presentation, where we participated in the virtual 5K.
After our program launched, we decided to take it even a step further by implementing a human trafficking demand reduction policy. The purpose of this policy is to maintain a work environment that is free from human trafficking and slavery and any violation of human rights in which the victims are deprived of their fundamental freedoms will not be tolerated. This includes acquisition of a human being through the use of force, fraud, or coercion, or in which that person is induced to perform such act has not attained 18 years of age, for the purpose of exploiting the individual, adult, or child for profit through forced labor, prostitution, or both. Truckers Against Trafficking did help us develop our policy. They had some verbiage we were able to use and adapt to fit our needs. And then we went on and added that it is against our company's policy for an employee or contingent worker to participate in human trafficking using any company assets or resources or at any work-related setting outside the workplace. This policy governs the company as a whole, employees, suppliers, consultants, third-party representatives, and subcontractors. So it takes a really strong stance on this topic, and it tells everyone on a Precision project that we won't tolerate it. And this goes beyond our employees. It's literally everyone who's on our project. And the expectations are that those who become aware of potential violations of the human trafficking demand reduction policy or any other related laws or regulations have an obligation to report these concerns to either their safety manager or someone else within the project management team. Suspicion of an employee using company funds or resources to engage in conduct in violation of this policy warrants an immediate investigation, appropriate action, and possibly termination. And then also maybe referred to law enforcement. Truckers Against Trafficking was really helpful in creating this policy, like I said, and it's just, it enforces how seriously we take this initiative.
So with any program, new program in an organization, there's always challenges, and then there's always solutions. So wanted to share with you some of our challenges and solutions. So our training challenges, I think I mentioned earlier that we have a home office workforce, our corporate office or home office down in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And then, for example, I work out of our Superior office, and then we have folks in the field on project job sites. So the challenge was creating a program that would grow continuously and reach new hires while also being accessible to numerous locations that may change based on project need. So we faced that challenge of how do we train field and office-based employees spread out across the country in a large, diverse organization. And the solution was to tailor the program to each venue, creating an office-based program and a field-based program. And to ensure we're all training PPL employees, the Human Trafficking Awareness Program was incorporated to our existing field orientation slideshow. So it's in our slide deck. And that presentation is watched by every new hire, every subcontractor hire, and client hire working on the project. So that was a key piece. Home office employees, on the other hand, are required to watch the video independently, but they have to take a quiz at the end as proof of their participation and understanding. And so by using both the group setting and the individual setting, there was accountability and an efficiency in our ability to train everyone. So there are also IT challenges at first, and now the challenge really is to keep the material fresh and top of mind. I think our most recent thing is just that we launched our own branded program, and that was an opportunity for us to highlight and speak to the program again. For those employees that maybe had the training a year ago, it was a nice opportunity to continue to remind and keep it fresh. So one of the next things that we decided was important to us was to create partnerships with other companies so that we could continue to spread this effort. So part of how we share with others is accomplished through collaboration through our national and local partnerships. I want to highlight, we've talked a lot about Truckers Against Trafficking, but I want to highlight Fierce Freedom as well. And they've been an amazing local partner to us. And through these national and local partnerships, we've really been able to continue to put on programming that's really important and can stay current. On the next slide, through those partnerships, with the Truckers Against Trafficking specifically, we were invited to participate in a coalition build event. And this was a half-day event that was, it was a summit that was hosted by the Pennsylvania Attorney General's Office, the Pennsylvania Motor Truck Association, the Pennsylvania Bus Association, and Truckers Against Trafficking. And they wanted to bring together all of these stakeholders in the industry and agencies, federal law enforcement, government agencies, everyone, so that they could close the loopholes to traffickers. And so bringing together all of these groups in a half-day summit, they were really able to understand and see where there may be gaps and to cinch those up so that they can work together to do something about this problem. So I know that Truckers Against Trafficking is going to be offering some more of these coalition build events. This one had been planned to be in person and then was switched to virtual, but was very successful. Lindsey and I attended it, and there will be more in the future. So if this is of interest to you, again, reach out to us after the presentation. We'll connect you with some more info on that.
A quick highlight on Fierce Freedom. This is our local partner in Eau Claire. They fight modern day slavery in our hometowns and also nationwide. They educate people about human trafficking and produce resources like videos and weekly podcasts to bring awareness to the fact that human trafficking isn't just something that happens overseas in third world countries or in large cities. This photo is from their ribbon cutting at their new office this last year. And then another way we support Fierce Freedom is by attending their fundraising events. We participated in their Night of Freedom and Hope Gala early last year. The event had a keynote speaker on how buyers and demand affect human trafficking, and it was a really powerful connection to me. It was a pivotal event for us as we began talking about our demand reduction policy and started to implement that within the company as just one more way that we can fight this crime. And then we also supported Fierce Freedom by creating these hygiene kits for them to give to survivors. Kits included simple items that maybe we all take for granted, such as a hairbrush, washcloth, deodorant. Kits were used locally for maybe a survivor that would show up at Fierce Freedom looking for help. And then they were also used when Fierce Freedom would travel to nationwide events that may be targets for traffickers. And just handed out to those who may be trafficked as just a way to maybe start to feel a little more human again. And for instance, they brought these hygiene kits to the Super Bowl in Miami last year as part of their outreach program.
And a final highlight on how we get our employees involved in the program is participation in the Just Us for Justice Run. You saw this slide earlier. That's an annual event that Fierce Freedom puts on each year. And we participated the last 2 years. And we hope to participate again this year, maybe in person. So noticing our efforts, Fierce Freedom, the team at Fierce Freedom invited us to do a podcast to share our program with a broader audience. And so we featured our program and how others can start their own human trafficking awareness program on their podcast. You can look them up and find ours and hear from Lindsey and I again if you want to. And I invite you to connect with Fierce Freedom on their social media and take advantage of their educational resources and downloads that they have available. Lindsey kind of touched on it with the example of her son who's doing virtual learning this year, and the opportunity for buyers and traffickers to start communicating with children in the safety of their own homes. And so Fierce Freedom has some excellent materials on that I encourage parents and caretakers to watch to really understand what could happen. Next, we just want to highlight our training data. So on this slide, after a year in our program, we wanted to take a look back and make sure that we are meeting our objective. And so we have the field training, we have the office training, and then the other piece was making introductions to our partners, our subcontractors, and sharing with them how to create their own program. And we are super excited to say that we have accomplished and are continuing to accomplish great things with 3,369 employees who have gone through our TAT training program initially, and now our Precision Human Trafficking Awareness Program. And so we have trained 100% of our field employees and our home office employees. And as we mentioned earlier, we set the goal to share this with other organizations, and being able to speak today to you, chamber members, is a huge step in accomplishing that as well. And the introductions we've made so far, there's kind of 3 categories: associations, conferences, and partners. And so it's been really fun to be able to connect and reach out, and then see how others are doing this as well. And we'll share a couple of additional stories here in a minute.
This is just one more slide. Same number, 3,369. And I just want to address that number again. So we started our program in September of last year. A year of September was our 1 year mark. So within a year and a few months, we have impacted more than 3,000 individuals and empowered them to know the signs of human trafficking and report this crime. And I think it's just really important to see how your program can grow and to think about how many employees you can impact and how many organizations you can impact if you implement a training program. And then beyond that, we have employees who have reached out to say, my spouse is interested, and it's a completely different industry, but they want to implement a program. So it grows so quickly and can make such a huge difference in a lot of people's lives. So just that 3,000, we hit 3K, and it's just meaningful to us.
So true. This is a quote from one of our subcontractors, PBEN USA. And this was really fun to receive. You know, this field supervisor said, my team did not realize how bad it was until they watched the Truckers Against Trafficking video. Each one of them said it touched their heart and will make them look more than ever. And it gets me a little emotional when I see some of this, because people don't know this is happening. And so it's just our responsibility to bring it forward and empower people to do something about it. So we continue to train employees to recognize the signs and report suspicious activity. We reinforce awareness by adding monthly updates to our corporate newsletter and in weekly staff meetings. And we continue to be a resource for other companies who'd like to implement similar training programs by providing lessons learned and mentorship. And we seek opportunities to share this initiative with other organizations and communities through conversations like this, through social media events and speaking engagements. The next slide shows a couple of our partners. We had the PBEN quote on there a moment ago, and then Wolverine Trucking is another subcontractor who has taken our program template and made it their own, and they're doing it in their own company as well. So 2021 goals, we'll continue to grow our initiative, and it's really been woven, like Lindsey highlighted, it's really been woven into our organization's culture. We have other speaking engagements coming up where we're going to be able to share this message more broadly. If you'd like to start the conversation within your organization, like we did with PBEN and Wolverine, please reach out. Lindsey and I are really passionate about this and are happy to speak with you more about it. And another final thought here to leave you with is open and authentic conversations will protect us from trafficking and exploitation. And that quote is from Kat Jacoby, and she's a friend of ours at Fierce Freedom. And it's just a real powerful reminder. I think we'll put up our contact information here and then open it up. I think we have about 10 minutes left for questions, unless Lindsey, you had any final thoughts to add too.
Questions from the group? Thoughts?
Looks like we have a comment in the chat from Tatiana Burgum, and she says, hello, thank you for talking about this, Lindsey and Rachel. There are also local agencies who have anti-trafficking programs in the Duluth area who are working directly with survivors and provide training to local businesses and community members. And then she lists PAVSA, Lifehouse, North Homes, Children and Family Services.
Awesome, thank you. And maybe we can get out more information on those resources as well.
Yes, I'll work on a summary email at the end of this. I'll send out with your contact information, and then hopefully some information too with our local agencies as well. Is there any questions? Oh, here we go. We have another comment too. This has been great information. Thank you. It seems like sharing the video with employees would be a great first step.
It was really powerful. Definitely recommend sharing that and, watching it, maybe after we finish this, if you have time this afternoon or tomorrow, watch it on your own, take the quiz and see how that would apply to your organization.
We have a question from Eric Monson. What did you find to be the most difficult aspect of rolling out the awareness program at Precision Pipeline?
Rachel, I know we've talked about this before.
Seems so easy now looking back. No.
I know. I think our initial reaction was Rachel and I had learned about this, decided we wanted to do something regarding it, and knew we had to. We said, we're doing this, we have to do this. And then we kind of looked at each other and we're like, how are we going to talk about this to these groups? Like, how do you present this in a way? And then when we found Truckers Against Trafficking, it just happened. It really provided those tools and those resources we needed to say, okay, this is how we're going to talk about it. This is how we address it.
Yeah, I agree. I think initially, at least for me personally, I felt like this was a kind of a taboo subject. It wasn't something you really talked about. And so that was maybe initially hard to get past, but like Lindsey said, there's connecting with the local and the national organization that had tools already and conversation starters. I think that was really helpful.
Yeah, and that realization that your key stakeholders or your decision makers to have that buy-in that this is something we need to do, and them watching the video and seeing that this is happening in our backyards, it's in our neighborhoods, it's everywhere, that it's not the white van coming down the street that's nagging your children and then sending them off. Like this is right here, and making that realization was really important too.
Yeah, and to expand on that, it's happening through the devices that our children and adults are using, and that was something else that was really shocking to me. You think your children are safe in their homes because you think of this as something that's happening outside the home, walking down the street or something like that, and really these people with vulnerabilities are online, and the traffickers and the buyers are out there looking for people to connect with that they recognize those vulnerabilities in. And that was really an eye-opener. But the good news is that there are some things, and we can share this in the summary, Bailey, that resources that you can watch and reference so that you can have that conversation with your children and friends and other family and colleagues, so that people are aware. I think that's step one.
Great. Are there any other questions? Well, if there are, okay, I thought there was another one coming up. If there aren't any more questions, we will wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for speaking on this very, very important issue and kind of bringing it to light really for a lot of people, and kind of call to action, I think, as well. So thank you so much, ladies.
You're welcome.
All right, well, everyone have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.